Today we're jumping into something that could totally change the game for you, the 5 elements of effective thinking. It's this amazing framework from a book by Edward Berger and Michael Starbird, and honestly, it's all about redesigning how you learn, how you create, and how you solve problems.
So let's just start with a huge question. Are some people just born brilliant? Is genius this special thing you either have or you don't? We tend to think of these incredible minds as being wired completely differently from the rest of us. But what if that's not really the whole story?
I mean, listen to this. Even Einstein, the guy we think of as the ultimate born genius, said his ideas came from learnable habits, things like curiosity, just sticking with it, and being critical of his own work. And that is the whole point we're digging into today. The idea that effective thinking isn't some magic gift, it's a skill that anyone, and I mean anyone, can learn.
Okay, so if genius is something you can build, not something you're born with, where do you even start? How do you do it? Well, that's where this framework comes in. The authors have laid out a simple but really powerful set of mental tools to help us all think more clearly, more creatively, and just more effectively.
And here they are, the 5 elements. It's such a clever way to remember them because they're based on the classical elements of nature. You've got earth for that deep foundational understanding, then fire for making mistakes, air for raising questions, water for following the flow of ideas, and then the 5th one that brings it all home, change. Let's break down what each of these really means.
So, let's start with the first one, Earth. This is all about grounding your thinking. I mean, you wouldn't build a house on a shaky foundation, right? It's the same exact idea here. All effective thinking has to start with a deep, rock-solid understanding of what you're dealing with.
And oh man, I think we've all been Silas at some point. You know the drill. You put in the hours, you cram, you memorize all the facts, and you walk into that test thinking, I got this. And then you get a disappointing grade back. See, Silas's problem wasn't that he didn't work hard enough. It was that he didn't truly understand. He had a bunch of facts, but he didn't see how they all connected.
And this really gets to the heart of the difference. What Silas was doing, that's superficial learning. It's all about memorizing the what. And it's so fragile. The second you get asked a question in a slightly different way, the whole thing just crumbles. But deep understanding, that's about knowing the why and the how. It's seeing the big picture, the connections, and building that solid foundation.
So how do we get there? How do we build that deep understanding? Well, the book gives us 4 awesome strategies. First, and this is huge, master the basics. Second, clear away all the clutter and find what's truly essential. Third, you have to constantly ask yourself, okay, what do I really know here? And finally, sweat the small stuff. By tackling smaller, manageable pieces of a huge problem, you build up that momentum.
That first point about mastering the basics is so important, and this story just illustrates it perfectly. A world-class trumpet virtuoso, Tony Plog, would have his masterclass students. These are already amazing musicians. Practice super simple, almost childish-sounding notes. Why? Because mastering the fundamentals isn't just for beginners. True experts are the ones who never stop going back to them. That's where real mastery lives.
Okay, so once you have that solid foundation, your earth, it's time to bring in the next 3 elements. I like to think of them as the catalysts. They're the active forces that are going to spark new ideas and forge brand new connections in your mind.
Next up is fire. And this one is a big one because it's all about completely reframing how we think about failure. The idea here isn't to just avoid mistakes, it's to actively seek them out. Now, why on earth would you do that? Because every single mistake is like a flashlight. It shines a light on a gap in your understanding and tells you exactly where you need to focus. Mistakes aren't setbacks, they're the fuel for real insight.
The third element is air. And just like air, it's about being open, expansive, and full of curiosity. The goal here is to be constantly creating questions. Ask things like, what if I looked at this from a totally different angle? Or, what's the real question I should be asking here? You see, the quality of your thinking really just comes down to the quality of your questions. The right ones open up a whole world of new possibilities.
And that brings us to our 4th element, water. Ideas aren't just these static things that pop up out of nowhere, right? They flow, they have a history, and they have a future. So to really understand an idea, you have to look back to see where it came from, and then look forward to imagine all the places it could go. That's how you get a rich, dynamic picture.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important element of the 5.
It's called the quintessential element because it's the one that takes everything we've just talked about and turns it into real, actual personal transformation.
See, here's the crucial point. Deep understanding, failing productively, asking great questions, and seeing the flow of ideas, they're all just tools. And what are they for? They exist to give you the power to change how you think, to change how you learn, and ultimately to change yourself for the better. This is how you stop just reacting to things and start becoming the architect of your own growth.
So there you have it. Earth, fire, air, water, and change. And what I really love about this is that it isn't just some abstract theory you talk about. It is a practical, hands-on toolkit for your mind that you can literally start using today.
You can really think of these 5 elements as your own intellectual GPS. Anytime you feel stuck or overwhelmed, or you just want to think better, you can turn to this framework. Ask yourself, am I really grounded in the basics? Am I too afraid of making a mistake? Am I asking enough questions? It's your guide for navigating pretty much any challenge life throws at you.
So I want to leave you with this one thought. Effective thinking is a choice. It's not a trait you're born with. You have the tools now. The only real question is, what are you going to build with them? Think about a challenge you're facing right now, big or small. What problem will you rethink first?